And welcome back to the Manitoba Esports League Amateur Division. We're getting right into Pro Draft for Game 2 of Casually Reformed versus Espresso Depresso. We have a Yuumi band coming in hot right off the bat.
It looks like the same bands. We were talking about this already. The same bands are coming in every single time against Espresso Depresso, not just from Casually Reformed. We've seen this Yuumi ban against them. Stefano was saying, I think every single game that we've seen them play, and we're wondering what's going to happen if they get that Yuumi. We did see the Malzahar coming through for RawkZoors last game, which was his signature pick, and not able to make it work. Still, so the power of Mordekaiser on Royal too much for him to handle. And there you go. There's the ban.
Yeah. Oh, Casual Reform not banning away the Malzahar, but picking it instead. That's a pretty smart choice. Espresso Depresso, he answers immediately with the Veigar, though. Although he doesn't have a lot of games played on this character, we saw it last week. Every game he played it, he was showing off how strong his Veigar can be. He doesn't necessarily even need to build a lot of AP. We've seen him, he's going for the Glacial Augment, the heavy item usage build. He provides a lot of pick potential for Espresso Depresso. I'm really excited to see what he can do this week.
Yeah, once Malzahar does get to a certain point, we'll be able to kind of bully that Veigar around in lane in terms of minion control. Much stronger pusher is Malzahar than is Veigar. But the Cho'gath coming in actually looks like that will go to Bahoutot, a break from his traditional conventional styles of picks. And now Leona Sivir coming out as the bot lane to lock in for Casually Reformed. Sivir was banned by Espresso Depresso last game, and so we'll see what Grim is able to do on that champion.
Smart pick of the Leona by Casually Reformed. They went for the Leona instead of the Alistar in this case. Alistar has a really hard time against Veigar. The cage blocks and then stuns him. Can render that champion pretty useless, and even against the Cho'gath, the silence can be pretty detrimental. If he gets silenced while Alistar's in his headbutt, he actually can't get the pulverize off. So the Leona is a smart pickup there. Leona has no problem engaging regardless of the circumstance.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, able to use that ultimate no matter what, and of course able to buffer that stun. So the Nautilus coming in as the response to the Leona, definitely powerful in lane, able to do a lot of damage, able to apply a lot of crowd control. Caitlyn banned out. This is the second time Casually Reformed has banned this one as well, and we're generally have been seeing Espresso Depresso play their cards close to the chest in terms of bot lane picks. We'll see what comes in this time, as Vayne, Kai'Sa, for instance, both still available. Vayne now banned out, so will we see the Kai'Sa, or are they going to look towards a jungle pick here?
I wouldn't be surprised if they pick the jungle, or if they picked up an Ashe. Ashe is really strong. It's right up Espresso Depresso's alley. They love playing, not necessarily most damaged team comps. As we saw last game, they're all about the utility, and Ashe allows you to play very safe in lane. There it is. I am a prophet.
Stefano the prophet. Yeah,
exactly.
Brilliant.
This is a smart pickup there. Fits their playstyle perfectly, and allows them to be very safe in lane as well.
Yeah, so Urgot coming in as the response. Definitely Urgot, somebody able or with the capability to beat Cho'gath in lane, to bully him out of lane, and to gain an advantage up there. Cho'gath more of a utility and a team fighter type of champion. So we'll see what if the Urgot dual power can, get Sean ahead and deal with Bahoutot, who, like we said, not on a carry champion this time without Cho'gath coming in. Here's the Zac coming in. Finally, a jungler selected for one of these teams, Casually Reformed, taking that. Lots of utility and lots of crowd control now available for Casually Reformed.
That is a scary engage from Casually Reformed.
Yeah.
Not only do they have the Sivir ulti as well as the Leona ulti, on top of that, you just have a Zac coming at you from God knows where in the lane. that is going to be very hard to deal with for an immobile AD carry like Ashe. It'll be a real test to see if they can set up the vision control and if they have the game knowledge to sense where Zac is and if they can avoid the engages.
Yeah, and so Veigar and Cho'gath going to be useful, as well as Ashe, to try to avoid that engage. Though of course Ashe very vulnerable, and Veigar as well. But they have some sort of disengage, worked into their kit. But Jarvan and Nautilus not exactly on the same level there. They're more looking for aggressive. They have to go in and able to apply their crowd control for the most part, besides Nautilus ultimate. So I'm seeing a little bit maybe of a mismatch there in that Espresso Depresso composition. Still so much crowd control available. You can see, like we said last game, or like you said just now in the Champion Select bout last game, Espresso Depresso favors utility over high damage champions. They've got 2 damage threats. Once again, only 2 damage threats for the late game in this team. The rest is just to work around those damage threats and to enable them.
Hopefully this game they'll be able to work around them. Sorry, Stefan, I cut you off. Please go ahead.
It's totally okay. I was gonna say I really love the Cho'gath pick here. Cho'gath is super smart, smart into their comp. Sack isn't really going to be incentivized to go top very often. Cho'gath can be pretty hard to kill, but more than that, the bot lane of Casually Reformed is very, very aggressive in nature. Mix that with Espresso Depresso's kind of weak bot. Cho'gath was really smart. Zach probably isn't going to be going top a lot this game. So Cho'gath is going to have the time to scale. He's gonna get really big, really tanky, and Sivir, notorious for not necessarily being able to deal with tanks that well. She ends up hitting the people behind the tanks with the ricochet, of course. But in terms of actual tank damage, Sivir is not known for that. Really smart Cho'gath pick.
Yeah, so the Sivir definitely just going to want to get ahead in lane there in order to be able to shred those tanks in a way that maybe an average, gold Sivir might not be able to do. Meanwhile, the Ashe coming in definitely, like you say, a stronger fight for Leona and Sivir, but Ashe Nautilus, no joke either, in particular with the Jarvan going in. Jarvan, such a strong early game jungler. We've seen it in the Premier League as well. We've seen it all over. Jarvan, very highly favored pick in a lot of these games for that early aggression potential there, and for a lot of early game damage. Definitely you don't want to run into him as Zach in the jungle early on, because Jarvan will be able to outburst you in that situation.
Yeah, for sure. Jarvan, what Jarvan brings to this team more than anything is the ability to win the 2v2 or the, I guess, 3v3 fight bottom lane, as well as the 2v2 mid.
Yeah.
J4 early game almost all the time is going to be able to, as you said, kind of bully the Zach whenever he wants. So being able to not guarantee a strong early game, but really make it more likely that Espresso Depresso isn't going to come out behind in their game with the Jarvan is pretty smart.
And of course, we talked about Espresso Depresso really wanting to get going early, and that's what they've done in most of the games before. Last game, where it didn't work out so well for them, but hopefully they'll be able to turn it around in this game coming up. I do want to quickly jump back to the first game and talk about that for a bit before we get into game 2 here. The early game, speaking of the early game, was really slow action-wise. I believe the first blood came in sometime after 11 minutes, which we were talking about, I think is the latest first blood that we've had in amateur or premier, as far as I know. I know what the actual stats on that is, but it was very slow, and it looked like, wow, these two teams are quite well matched up. It's going to be, pretty even, and then it just blew up.
Yeah, that was such a crazy game to do the commentary for, because so many back and forth fights, and with, Casually Reformed just slowly, getting an advantage, getting another pick here, another pick there. And then the team fight started happening. It became even crazier. That one team fight when it started at Baron, I was talking about it before, and I didn't even get to say how far it went. They started at the Baron. There was an engagement on the Baron. This is while Sean is, if I'm remembering it correctly, 1v3 up and down in the bot lane. Meanwhile, the Baron's going down. Baron doesn't take him down. Sean takes a million years to go down. Then by the time the fight has progressed by the time the chase has gone all the way to the bottom inhibitor, all the way across the map, Sean has showed up again. Now Sean is again outnumbered, and they chase him all the way to the middle inhibitor and back to the mid lane, like in the middle of the mid lane. It was the most insane thing. We need to see the replay of that, because I just when I realized, when I think back how long that fight went, and it was because we had these huge tanky members of the team on both sides, and with Casually Reformed being ahead and having the Ornn Mordekaiser, and the Kayn healing up, it was just such that it created a situation I've almost never seen with like that long of an engagement.
Yeah, that was I want to submit that one to Guinness for the world record of longest team fight there.
Yeah.
But that whole game, I don't like. It almost seemed like Casual was doing a cosplay of Warwick. There was nothing, and they got a scent of blood. They smelt it, and they went in, and they didn't stop going in. There was really high pressure, high priority on kills from Casual Reformed, and that helped lead to those things like those big team fights. It's going to be on Espresso Depresso to see if they can just go, hey, you know what? Wait a minute. We don't necessarily want to fight every 30 seconds. We have a lot of disengage with the Veigar. J4 doesn't have any issues running away from fights, as well as Ashe. It's going to be on them to decide which fight they really want to take, and executing that, not giving up anything else.
And I really hope that they can. I mean, looking at last game, they had some disengage, but they didn't know when to disengage. Even in that fight that Wes was talking about, coming from Baron, chasing all the way down, the Sejuani got separated, and then the Mals, and I don't remember which other character was, two other characters were like hanging around a dead tier 2 bot turret that wasn't there to try to save the Sejuani. Leave the Sejuani, go back to base, and defend the turret that's alive, right?
Yep. I buy that. I definitely agree. They like Stefano said, misplays abounded in that team fight, and when it goes long enough, where an Ornn who's super tanky takes forever to go down, when an Ornn goes down, then respawns, and then comes back, and then goes down again, and then the team fight is over, you're going to make some mistakes if the team fight is that long. But Darren, I wanted to talk about what you mentioned before about the late first blood, where it took so long for a first blood to come in. Something to note is that the junglers were Sejuani and Kayn, neither of whom are known for a lot of early game power. Sejuani kind of wants to get to level 6 for, her real gank potential. Kayn does want to fight, but sort of wants to, just get the orbs and get out. It doesn't have a lot of kill pressure and almost no crowd control early on. And so that definitely could contribute to that. Now, this game, we see Zach and Jarvan, who are both so strong that, as soon as they reach level 3, they can go in. As soon as they reach level 2, they can go in. And so I definitely not expecting to see anything like that this game. Jarvan and Zach are going to be moving towards those lanes really early on, try to get their laners ahead.
Well, and we saw Kayn have a lot of farm as well, way out farming Sejuani in the early and mid game. I didn't look at the numbers later, and I assume, I'm not much of a jungler myself, that Kayn does clear the jungle faster.
Especially with that Q buff. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Kayn, very, very strong jungler, especially Rost. Very, very efficient at farming the jungle, able to go through the walls, of course. Sejuani, a longer cooldown for that. And Kayn has 2 spells that can do it. So Kayn has a really fast clear, especially in the mid game. And both junglers, this is part of the new jungle where after level 9, you get more experience. It's a little bit of a hard balance because that is often the time you really want to be present for those objectives and team fights or skirmishes. But at the same time, you really want to be farming because you're getting that extra experience. You want to get ahead on your laner. And so that's why I want to see counter jungling coming in as well from these 2 junglers to deny that experience from each other.
I wanted to talk about a little bit more about the team fighting. We talked about how great Espresso Depresso does with their macro play in previous games, and they did take more towers, but their team fight, there seemed to be a lot of miscommunications. There was a really poor TP with Malzahar coming down in that bot lane when the jungler wasn't anywhere close, but was also like at a 3rd health in the mid lane that couldn't come down and help. And in other team fights, what I noticed was they were getting separated. They got forced out and weren't staying together. Do you think that that is a big flaw in their game? Was a big flaw in their game in the last game?
Yes, absolutely. I think that was a huge thing. They seemed more scattered. Normally, we know Espresso Depresso for being very meticulous in everything they do. They get one objective, they all rotate to get the other one. They're normally all there together, and they're very methodical in how they win that game. And you saw there, they were the opposite of methodical. They did try. You saw they were doing well. They were able to get objectives, but when it came to actually fighting, you can tell the comms there were a little bit scattered. They weren't really sure what fights they were taking. They weren't sure when. So that's something they really have to patch up this game if they want to take the win.
So can Espresso Depresso gather their wits and continue their undefeated streak in this league? We're now already on the rift for game 2 of Espresso Depresso versus Casually Reformed. Casually Reformed now on the blue side there, having taken that... Espresso Depresso now on the blue side, having taken that Malzahar pick first. Oh, am I still wrong? Yeah, I am still wrong. It's Casually Reformed, having gotten the Malzahar, and so definitely. We have to see what Royal is going to do on that Malzahar against RawkZoors on the Veigar. We saw how powerful RawkZoors was on it, being able to roam towards that top lane when Bahoutot was so strong on that Olaf last week. We'll see if RawkZoors can have the same effect here.
And the one thing I want to touch on this game is the bot lane. Zero Urge played out of his mind last game on the Alistair. This game he's on the Leona. But more importantly, neither team has heal. Both of them opting for the cleanse, trying to stay as safe as possible. It does lead you, or rather can lead you to being killed early if you aren't able to cleanse the ignite. But so it's going to be on really the supports to choose, how they layer their skills together to force the cleanse out before the ignite goes down. This is going to be a really good skill matchup between the specifically the supports of Karl DR and George.
Yeah, cleanse absolutely a more difficult summoner spell to use in general, more difficult to know exactly when to use it. Whereas heal, since it has the move speed buff and since it affects both members of the lane, you really can use it as a combat spell, whereas cleanse is only to be used in very, very specific situations, which is when you've got crowd control, when you've got ignite, something on you. So yeah, like you said, very high, a skill matchup in this bot lane, and we'll see. Definitely the supports going to be the catalysts here, as Jolopenos already able to put down some poke damage onto both Zero Urge and Grim.
Yeah, this is one of those strengths as Jolopenos. He's got Sivir is stuck at what I believe is she's one of the few 500 range AD carries, whereas Ashe sitting at a nice 625. That's gotta feel good for them. 625 feels good in any lane, but when you're against someone as short range as Sivir, it's a little bit, it's better than it normally would feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we do have Jarvan coming in towards the blue buff of JaDe here. JaDe has taken that blue buff. As far as I can tell, we haven't been able to see, but it doesn't look like that steal did go down. But the ward was there, and so they know exactly where JaDe is. So we'll see how that plays out, and if these junglers can track each other. The scuttle already taken down there by the Jarvan, and we see mana already depleted for Bahoutot as that Cho'gath, and Sean able to get a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, it's going to be something we're going to have to look at as top lane, even as I say it. Gang comes in.
Sean knocked up again. He's going to have to use the flash here if he wants to get away. And actually, no, JaDe does come in, and actually Sean holds his nerve and holds the flash. Really impressive there, knowing exactly how much damage he was able to take. And JaDe there with the save, able to dissuade them from any further pressure.
Man, you can tell Sean knows how tanky his characters are. Because if I saw Jarvan, I would have flashed the second that happened.
No way I was saving my flash there, yeah.
Yeah, he was so smart. He looked at the map. He was like, you know what? JaDe is close. JaDe can come in for the counter gig. I'm not even forced to blow anything. He does have to use the TP getting back to lane, but that's a lot better than what it could have been for him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, managed to survive. I'm really impressed by that. Now we do see Royal going in this matchup as well. Not much is gonna happen most likely until level 6. Though Veigar does have the potential to follow up on a Jarvan gank, and Jarvan can apply a lot of damage there. So the problem is with somebody like Veigar, you can have a little bit of trouble popping that shield that Malzahar gains, which allows him to avoid crowd control. And you've got to hit a Q on the Malzahar, which causes you to go in pretty far. Actually, RawkZoors having to flash there. Zach going in, and RawkZoors having pushed up too far without any sort of vision on the bottom side of his lane. So nice job there by JaDe to get that flash.
Yeah. That's some. That's got to leave a bad taste of coffee in your mouth after that one. For RawkZoors, kind of just unnecessarily pushed ahead, was trying to get lane, but didn't get the wards down. Wards in mid lane when you're playing someone like Veigar that has no mobility, important, but even more important when you're playing against Zach.
Hang on, Bahoutot. Oh, wow. A lot of damage going down there. You see how powerful that Urgot is on Sean against somebody like a Cho'gath who doesn't have, well, after the cooldowns are blown, which they were on that first engage, doesn't have a lot of resources available to defend against something like an Urgot. Isn't very fast champion, has no mobility, doesn't have a lot of defensive abilities besides, just kind of being tanky. So already Sean being able to push into turret, being able to, gain a bit of CS lead. Hopefully he can get that a little bit higher, because that's sort of what Urgot is designed to do here.
Do you want to say, I just noticed this now, a glacial augment on Bahoutot, instead of what you normally see on Cho'gath, is normally the grasp. I don't want to say it's bad. It's still gonna, we're gonna have to see how it works out this game. There's quite a few kind of shorter range people for the Cho'gath and on, but that just shows how much emphasis Espresso Depresso puts on utility throughout their whole game. On top of it, they have a glacial augment mid laner. They have a glacial augment top laner. There's Ashe, who has effectively glacial augment on every auto attack, as well as a Nautilus. Their team is their teams are always nothing but utility. Really interesting game plan to see, a lot different than a lot of the other teams in this league.
It is so interesting. Yeah, they've got such a clear plan. Actually, Zero Urge going in here. Grim, not able to get in range, does attack Jolopenos, but this was a bait. Now the Jarvan, Kid Kirito going in, and Grim has to flash away. Zero Urge going in now, trying to do damage to Jolopenos, but that is not going to happen. And yeah, the first blood does come in quite a bit earlier than last game, as we said. We expected those junglers to use that early game aggression, and an overextension by the bot lane of Casually Reformed.
They saw Karl back, they thought they had the opportunity for the kill. What they didn't check was that they didn't check where the jungler was, and Kid Kirito, I guess, with his sixth sense, knowing what's about to happen, makes his way bot lane. Easy pickup for the side of Espresso Depresso.
Yeah, the flash also blown there on Grim, so they will be able to get a free dragon out of this, but the gank comes in, and RawkZoors is taking a lot of damage here. The ultimate does come down, and this is a lot of damage, and JaDe does have to flash there, but uses the ultimate and takes down RawkZoors, so they are able to trade that. Now Karl DR making his presence known in the mid lane, but nothing doing there. So good trade there by Royal, and JaDe at least able to get that kill down on RawkZoors, who was once again, I have to say, overextended. That when you see that there's no presence in the near the dragon, and you don't have enough vision on the top side of the map, you've got to really be mindful of that jungler. And RawkZoors so far not able to track JaDe properly.
I think especially because RawkZoors had blown his flash earlier.
Exactly.
Really great rotation by JaDe on the Zac to take advantage of that.
Yeah, no, that was really bad misplay by RawkZoors. He likely knew the jungler was coming. He's a Veigar without flash, and he's against the Malzahar. You're just waiting to be flash R'd by the Malzahar at that point. A little bit overconfidence. He's like, you know what? I'm against my main. I don't have to try that hard, but looks like his main.
I know this matchup. Yeah, we've all fallen into that particular trap. A nice wave crash coming in here from Casually Reformed, though, into the bot lane of Espresso Depresso, as the gold pretty much dead even here. Nothing much in terms of advantages gained, except for the dragon, which has gone towards Espresso Depresso, that Infernal Drake. A little bit of extra damage across the board there. So as we look at the items here, we do see actually Jolopenos has gone for the Berserker's Greaves. The theme continues. The Berserker's Greaves on Ashe is essentially a utility item, as you're able to apply more slow. You can see the polarity there. Grim having gone for the BF sword first, Ashe going for healing and attack speed and more slows. It's such a clear game plan from Espresso Depresso. I just love it. I love that they have, they're like, this is what we do. This is who we are as a team. We are a utility-based team.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, here comes the ultimate. They bait out the shield. Here comes the ultimate in now. Jolopenos has taken him down. Zero Urge now having to walk away. Really nice play there. The ultimates combined, and they were just, all they were doing was waiting for Grim to use that spell shield. However, Grim died with Cleanse down. He could have gotten out of that, and he wasn't able to pop that in time.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, in some extent, on how much more difficult Cleanse is to use than Heal. If you wanted to live that after he got burnt to Spell Shield, you would have just had to cleanse the Ashe auto attack, which is, it feels so bad to do, but when you're against such high crowd control like an Ashe Nautilus, it's something that's going to have to do.
Well, and then that's going to prevent some of the crowd control for the next few seconds, which prevents, you know, a slow from the next auto attack if he gets it off. It's just, that was the play you needed, exactly like you say, and wasn't able to do that. Here comes the teleport going back in. Royal did show up for an attempted gank here, but now having to defend against the Rift Herald being spawned in the mid lane. So nice play, better so far from Espresso Depresso, able to get a little bit more of a game plan here, a little bit more macro play, and you know, like you said earlier, Kid Kirito exactly where he needed to be when that bot lane gank was available, and then taking the dragon, now able to rotate to mid lane. So nice plays all around by Espresso Depresso.
Yeah, and you see now the Ashe with a being 2-0 is going to be huge for them. They place a lot of effort into Jalapenos all the time. You saw, I'm pretty sure every single game that Espresso Depresso has played on stream, Karl DR has rushed a nice bow, which is normally seen as a much more defensive item. Even when you're playing someone like Nautilus, isn't unheard of, but it's not exactly normal. And Kid Kirito has built a nice bow every game as well. They're really good at getting their carries ahead, and that's winning the game off of that. And that seems to be exactly what they've been, or what they are doing this game.
Oh, that Cho'gath was hungry there. Almost got in range, and will he be able to? He doesn't have the flash, but here's the knockup. Bahoutot going to get this kill. He does get the ultimate down. Grim able to flash away on the bottom lane, but actually, Grim goes back in. What are you doing, Grim? As he gets his ultimate taken down. Jolopenos may go down here as well, so the shutdown going down onto Zero Urge, and Karl DR having to run away as they see the Zac is available. But actually the stun comes back down. Karl DR able to, not able to get the hook. He misses there, and the ultimate goes down as Zac gonna be able to take it down. That was, that was an interesting play all around there.
You know what? I'm just gonna say, in Karl's defense, I'm pretty sure the wall moved. Like 1 second it was there, then 1 second it wasn't.
What is this, Hogwarts? The walls are moving, everyone's going in the other direction.
Exactly. That one firmly not Karl DR's fault. But no, what was Karl DR's fault is the kill they got on Grim. That was a smart play, and you saw Grim a little bit of a misplay there. Thought he could go back in to auto the Ashe, but as I was saying earlier, Ashe has such a range advantage. She's going to be able to get 2 or 3 autos in on you before you can even step in range to auto attack her. And Grim, not really expecting to have that big of a range difference, just gets kind of deleted when they come back to lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, here's another flash. Grim has no flash available, and that's going to be the kill going down. RawkZoors actually almost done. Oh, the ultimate goes down. Nice snipe by Sean, and they're actually going to be able to get dragon control off of this. It looks like Kid Kirito pretty low, so this fight not is what Espresso Depresso wants. Here's a huge wombo combo actually coming in. Really nice damage here from Sean. Now Kid Kirito's going to go down as well, and all 3 are going to go down as a double kill coming in from Royal, and a huge turnaround here coming in from Casual Reformed.
Huge misplay by Jalapeno. Pino's first of all stepping up, but even a few minutes before that, it looked good, but he splashed on Grim, you know, to get the slow, to get all this stuff. There is so much dive on the side of Casual Reformed with the Zac, with the Leona. You cannot be blowing your flash offensively when you're playing someone like Ashe. You have no way to get out of circumstances like that. We just saw when JaDe on the Zac gets on top of you. And it's going to lead to their death, and more importantly, that's going to mean if they're fighting in the future for the duration of Jalapeno's flash being down, is that they're going to be at a huge disadvantage. Jalapenos is so strong, you know, he's got that 4-2-0 scoreline. He's going to be able to shred people, but only if he can survive the initial dive from the side of Casual Reformed.
Yeah, a really, really interesting play there. So Jolopenos just he had blood in his eyes there. He tunnel visioned onto Grim. He's thinking, I've got this advantage, I've got this lane advantage. I want to use my Blade of the Ruined King. Grim's alone, but not really being aware of what's happening around the map. And once again, Casually Reformed able to somehow create enough chaos to out macro the macro gods, Espresso Depresso. Here's RawkZoors now. He's taking a lot of damage. He's just going to go down here. He uses the stopwatch. Definitely not going to be able to use that to get out. But Grim! Oh, Grim does go down! And Grim stepped into range of tower for absolutely no reason at all. I guess he just wanted to keep walking back and forth because that's what good AD carries do, but he goes down. Now the tower is going to go down since Grim did go into the mid lane. The first turret goes down towards Espresso Depresso. So, getting a little sloppy on both sides here.
Yeah, another misplay by RawkZoors on the Veigar. He doesn't, and now he does have the Glacial, he had it before, but even so, that's not enough against this Sivir Leona. If they want to run at you, they're going to run at you regardless of what you do. Speaking of run at you.
Now here's Royal, flashes in, and wanted to get the ult down, didn't quite get in range, but now he does, as Karl DR now taking a lot of damage as well. RawkZoors able, another insane snipe coming in from Sean. He just threaded the needle there right through the goalposts underneath the tower, and Sean manages to make that into a huge advantage play for Casually Reformed. That's 2 right in a row, pretty much right off cooldown. Sean definitely super comfortable on this Urgot pick.
I said before Casually Reformed was cosplaying as Warwick last game. Well, this game Sean has to be cosplaying as Caitlyn. An absolute snipe both times on the low health targets of Espresso Depresso. He's 3-1 now, going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, here's the engage. Arrow comes in, but Kid Kirito just wasn't tanky enough to last long enough for Ashe and Nautilus to show up there and do something. So Kid Kirito once again goes down, and just really nice play. Casually Reformed looking so strong and looking very poised to take down the Giants here.
Yeah, I was saying there, even just a second ago, I was saying they were cosplaying as Ashe, or as Caitlyn. I take it back, it's back to Warwick.
Yeah.
At 12 minutes, there was 3 kills in the game. At 17, there's 17 kills in the game. They're just turbocharging how often they want to go on Jalapenos now that he doesn't have this flash.
Yeah, JaDe goes in, uses that Chilling Smite onto Jalapenos, but not able to get anything out of that. And so they are going to take control of this Rift Herald pit, but we'll see if they want to go for this. A couple of low health bars now on the side of Casually Reformed, so looks like they are just going to back off there. You can still see Jalapenos a lot of damage, able to really threaten that Sivir whenever he gets in range, and a little bit of a higher auto attack range. Sivir quite low auto attack range for an AD carry, so Ashe has the advantage in that regard. And Espresso Depresso continue to push. They're always going for these pushes even when they're behind. And I like, even though they weren't able to win last game, we've finally been able to see them play from behind, and we've seen them do a decent job in terms of decision making. It's just some individual micro plays where they've fallen short. Now a fight coming in. Actually, Bahoutot taking so much damage. Sean is way too strong for that. And Bahoutot not used to playing a champion where he can't 1v1. Now Royal actually is caught out though, and a good play by Espresso Depresso to invade here and get in. Now Zero Urge here is caught out, but he's not the one who's really caught out. RawkZoors goes down. Now Karl DR is getting out of there. They're scattered. Kid Kirito with very low health bar. Jolopenos, though, having been able to auto attack all this time, pops the Zac passive. All they can do is run away. Will Zero Urge be able to get onto him? He does. Cleanse pop. Now the Ignite goes down. Kid Kirito goes down. Zero Urge the only one, and will his crowd control come back up in time? Flash comes in from Jolopenos, and they get away to nurse their wounds.
Even in the silver lining for Espresso Depresso of being able to get away, they still come back to the original problem of now they don't have summoners on the Ashe.
Yep.
Which means regardless of how many kills she has, she's about to have another death. It doesn't even matter how much damage she does if she's dead.
Yep.
There's a huge issue. They have to do a much better job of playing around their summoner spells, specifically on Jalapeno, on this Ashe. They've fought 3 times in the past few minutes. 2 of the times Ashe has died because she didn't have her summoner spells. This time she lived because she had her summoner spells.
Yeah, so Ashe having almost all the gold here, 5-3 and 0 on Jolopenos there, and you need to keep this Ashe alive, but it's so difficult to do against this team. Now Royal actually is being caught out here, but will he be able to return damage back onto RawkZoors? Not quite, and that is finished off by Karl DR. Now another fight breaking out, Zero Urge going in. Bahoutot actually doing a lot of damage, does shut down onto the Leona. JaDe going in, and actually the Ricochet coming in from the Sivir does take down the Cho'gath, and so still Casually Reformed able to squeeze an advantage out of that fight.
Yeah, no, that was you saw what happened there. Espresso Depresso was able to get some free hits. He was able to live for a while, but as soon as he was pressured, he doesn't have enough damage to burst down the Zac yet. He's gonna need 1 or 2 more items to actually be able to effectively shred this Zac. But until then, every fight, it's JaDe just running at Jalapenos the whole time. They're gonna have to find an issue or find a way to control where the Zac Leona go, or Zac Leona Sivir, I should say, where they go and what angle they're running at you from. Because if you can figure that out, then maybe you can stop the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Even with all this utility picked up by Espresso Depresso, they are still not able to peel sufficiently to keep Jolopenos alive here with those 2 items completed, and let him do the auto attacks and, you know, get that damage down that he needs to. Like we said, low damage teams. These it's all utility coming in from Espresso Depresso, even on their carries. They're sort of still utility focused, and so they really need to play these team fights very, very deftly here in order to come out with an advantage, especially since Casually Reformed has managed to get an early game lead in both of these games.
Yeah, when you're going for these utility builds, you have to make sure you're on an even ground. Utility generally outweighs damage in League of Legends. I want to say generally because it doesn't when there's so much damage and when you don't have as much utility.
Yeah, a hard thing to measure. Now the Glacial Augment's coming through. You can see all these slows, and they're like, all right, we got our combo. And they do absolutely nothing to Casually Reformed. I think they may have blown more Summoner spells than they got out of Casually Reformed in that situation. So this utility-focused build not doing a lot. And speaking of which, Leona ult comes in. Here's JaDe coming in with the ultimate as well. He does get that knockup. And the Jarvan ultimate comes in. Shutdown actually comes down. First kill goes over to Casually Reformed. Grim on a rampage now. 3 kills coming back. You can see the damage. And Sean coming in. He's going in onto RawkZoors, but actually doesn't manage to take him down. Grim now focused on the tower, and 4 for 5 there. Zero Urge, the only one alive, not able to do anything at all. So kind of a wacky fight in that situation.
You know, definitely could have been worse for Espresso Depresso. They got kind of lucky that Sean thought he was still playing Ornn, maybe thought he was a little bit tankier than he wasn't able to. Smart trap by RawkZoors there, just keeping them in there. In case you're wondering, that is the definition of horror, is not being able to leave as the turret kills you.
Yeah.
But it goes back to even as Wes was saying, they have a lot of utility, but they haven't really been able to do a lot for it. We see Bahoutot seems to have just r/pro builds it, and they looked at RawkZoors build as the same build, same masteries as well likely, but they're gonna need to be able to find these engages before the Zac engage. And specifically looking at Jalapenos here, or Karl Dust. Jalapenos, of course, with the Ashe ulti, can engage from any range, and the Karl DR is just going to kind of have to run at them. You see now, it looks like he might be building up towards the Gargoyles, which is what I'm hoping he's going to be building for. He needs to get in there, be tanky. But it's going to be on Espresso Depresso. If they're going to want to come back in this game, they're going to have to be a lot more decisive. Speaking of decisive, here's Casually Reformed being decisive and taking the Baron for their own.
Yeah, and it's, you know, going down relatively slowly. If Espresso Depresso catches wind of this, they might be able to make it in time, but it looks like no, they are going to just wander around in their jungle and just give this up completely for free. I'm not even sure they knew, as now they have all walked up here, sort of saying, wait, you're not supposed to do that. But it's already done, Espresso Depresso. It is already done. And so so now Sean kind of off to the side, clearing out wards here. But yeah, the Baron taken, like you said, decisive action from Casually Reformed. This is how they've been able to gain all their advantages so far over Espresso Depresso. Just going in, just creating that situation where Espresso Depresso is always on the back foot and always on the ropes. So Casually Reformed showing no signs of slowing here, going for this Baron push, but actually here come the Glacial Augments one more time. Look at all that crowd control. Actually a huge engage. Kid Kirito, maybe they'll be able to make use of this after all. 3 shutdowns coming in. Royal now running off into no man's land, going way behind enemy lines here. And it looks like they are going to just leave him alone and go for the dragon here, as finally, the utility pays off for Espresso Depresso.
Really smart, really decisive play by Espresso Depresso. You know, they saw JaDe on the ward in River, they knew their jungler wasn't around, and that's all it takes. Just throw all your active items at them, eventually some are going to hit and slow them, and that's when you go in. That's what the Espresso Depresso needs to be doing from this point on. They need to be punishing Casually Reformed for their mistakes more than anything else.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool when it all comes together like that, and you got to imagine Espresso Depresso has had that happen in scrims, and that's why they're going for this particular team composition. We'll see if they can. They still do have the issues we talked about aren't gone. The Ashe still quite vulnerable in a lot of situations, and lots of tools to get onto that Ashe for Casually Reformed here, but definitely something to be hopeful for if you're an Espresso Depresso fan with that catch. They do manage to take the second Cloud Drake there, so that's 2 dragons apiece for these teams.
Yeah, it's the game kind of relies on Espresso Depresso now being able to just choose which fights they're taking. We've seen more and more from Casually Reformed is that they will, if they see an opening, they will take it no matter what. It's going to be on Espresso Depresso to not give them those openings, and when they do, on how to mitigate their losses and counterattack effectively.
Yeah, here's the ultimate coming in. Royal really wanted to go in on Kid Kirito. Thought he had him caught up, but Karl DR has shown up as well. Kid Kirito, though, taking a lot of damage. It has that stone plate pop, and he's going to go down. The ultimate comes down onto him, but Grim has gone down. Grim was way out in the back over there. Bahoutot now has taken out Sean, and this team fight looks like it may go in favor of Casually Reformed. Zac now passive pop. Karl DR taking a lot of damage here, but yeah, Espresso Depresso, they baited that catch. Royal thought he had the Jarvan caught up, but actually it was Espresso Depresso who was setting a trap there, and they managed to get 3 kills out of it.
You saw that fight. What happens when Jalapeno doesn't die? He's able to shred them. At the end of the fight, he had 90% HP. That is about 90% higher than what you want Jalapenos to be at by the end of a fight.
Yeah.
If Casually Reformed doesn't see the damage dealers of Espresso Depresso on the map, they can't be going for these engages, otherwise they're going to peel back and get nommed on, just like what happened to Royal there.
When they have any kind of an advantage, like you say, utility is so powerful, and even though still maybe the damage would go in favor of Casually Reformed, that utility gets the first prize for value in this situation, where you could see with all the slows, with all the stuns, it is just so impossible for Royal to play the game in that situation. So is Espresso Depresso's strategy finally coming to fruition here? We'll have to see, as the dragon will spawn in a little while. It looks like actually I believe the Baron will spawn first, and so we'll see where these teams want to fight next.
Man, both Cho'gath and Veigar have 3 active items out of 3 items built, and I'm guessing it's probably going to be going to the 4th item for both of them. I don't even know what they're going to build. I think they might just be trolling us at this point.
I'm ready for the Hextech Gunblade, man. Like, let's bring it on. Active items all across the board.
Yeah, just throwing Aranduins on the Veigar. Who knows?
Replace your boots with Yumumu's Ghostblade. Like, get in there, man. So yeah, honestly, I love it. I love this high APM League of Legends where they've got to be pressing so many more buttons than everyone else. I love Espresso Depresso going for that. It's such a this actually is just the kind of, you know, super unique strategy that we were hoping for these leagues. As Sean and JaDe now off to the side, quite tanky, but Bahoutot now is a monster here, and JaDe has gone in, which, you know, just trying to get that crowd control down. Actually, so much damage now going down. JaDe able to facilitate a huge wombo combo, as now 4 for nothing goes in form of Casually Reformed out of completely nowhere.
That looked so bad for Espresso Depresso at first, but JaDe was able to get to the back line. He was able to chunk the Ashe effectively by himself, as well as forcing her to run away, which gave them such a huge power differential. On top of that, RawkZoors died early, and it looks like Casual Form is poising to take the game here.
I think they're going to do it. Where did all that damage come from, Stefano? We need to go back and watch that back at some point, because that was ridiculous. Yeah, this game is completely over. This is going to be 2-0 for Casually Reformed, coming out of absolutely nowhere and taking the series off of the undefeated Espresso Depresso.